Welcome back, everybody, to Bama Musa. I'm talking about this place for a couple episodes now because this is sort of the turning point in the game that I've mentioned a couple times before in my earlier episodes. So when we get there, we'll talk about it a little bit more. We're not there yet.
Who's there?
Rebels!
Rebels!
We're under attack,
We're
Holmes!
under attack! To arms!
Hooray! As everyone comes out of every door in this fucking place. So this is one of the, I wouldn't say few missions. This is definitely one of the missions. I don't know if this is going to be the only mission, but it's certainly going to be, I imagine, infrequent that I'll have the high ground, because in most cases the high ground is very advantageous. So as the player character, you're not going to get it very often. Particularly if you play... I've never played the original Final Fantasy Tactics, though I do own it now. Bought it about a year or two ago, maybe a little bit longer than that now that I think about it. However, I have played Tactics Advanced, which is sort of a more kitty-eyes version of the Tactics Ogre slash... Oops, sorry, hit the mic. It's a more kiddie version of Final Fantasy Tactics slash Tactics Ogre game. But in that game, I think there's like 1 or 2 missions where you have the high ground, and every other mission you start at the low point in the mission, you know, on the field. Because usually it's sort of like this, where the low point is down here in the south, and the highest point is somewhere in this north to east area. So this is very common for Final Fantasy Tactics Advance to have this sort of map. That being said, I don't think those levels go quite as quickly, at least in the early game. They don't go quite as quickly as, you know, this game, where each level seems to be about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer for a more, a stronger set piece type battle. But, yeah. A lot of rain here. I don't know if that gives you any sort of advantage other than, or disadvantage other than, you know, like, it probably feeds, for instance, if this was, I don't know if it feeds into an elemental type, so if you're a water type, you might be a little stronger in this mission than, say, if you're a fire type, it's bad in water, you know? Or it might just be nothing. I don't know. It does affect certain game elements. But I'm not 100% sure if it gives you any actual bonus or de-bonus, you know, fighting in a heavily sunny area versus a downpour like this. Might just be for setting. Foreshadowing, if you will. What else there? What is there to talk about? Let me see here. Unrelated to this kind of important storyline mission that we'll be running into in a moment. We had our yearly chili cook-off, which we normally have right between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. We were a little late on getting the word out, so I figured I'd give people, quote unquote, I was sort of the spearhead in having the chili cook-off this year, because I like chili. What can I say? It's really good. I think it's a really good way for people to bond, particularly insofar as, you know, people, you know, you donate a little bit of money to eat as much chili as you want, provided we don't run out. People bring in their different chilies. You get to try them, eat the one you like. At the end, we mix them all together into a big pot. We have chili for about a week. And when I say about a week, it really depends. Sometimes we have less, sometimes we have more. But this year we had, I believe, 8 participants, each making a chili that was of decent size. We had so much leftovers, I ended up putting it into a 5-gallon bucket. It was maybe about half full, so about 2.5 gallons of chili left over. A lot of chili. But I'm looking forward to eating it next week, at least until people decide that it's either we all sit down, we all have a bowl, and many, you know, the phrase "many hands make quick work," or in this case, many bowls make quick work of chili, or there'll be leftover chili for about a week or so before we get tired of it and throw it in the garbage. Needless to say. We had our chili cook-off. I got 1 vote, which was 1 more vote than I thought I would get after trying the other chilies. Not that my chili was the worst by any level. I think it was sort of medium, like a middle of the road chili. So if I had to rank it, you know, from first place to 8th place, I'd say, honestly, I would put my chili somewhere around, I'd say 6th, somewhere around there. Only because I know there were 2 chilies I did not like at all. They weren't terrible, like unedible bad, but they were very watery. I mean, the one chili was very smoky, and it wasn't smoky in a good way, but smoky in like this, like, I may have overcooked this chili when I was making it, or left it on the pot and it might have burned the bottom. Kind of smoky. Whereas the other one was kind of a very basic, flavorless, watery chili, you know, which really didn't do anything for me. That being said, I ended up voting for the chili that had the yellow peppers in it, because I like the taste of your yellow pepper. Like, if you've ever had stuffed yellow peppers, a good stuffed yellow pepper, not a fucking joke ass. I put hot sausage in this yellow pepper, and it doesn't really do anything because the pepper isn't quite ripe yet, or is overly ripe. But I don't know. I usually don't have that criticism, but I really like yellow pepper, so I tended to sort of lean that direction. My one coworker has had we'll say the last 2 chili cook-offs. We didn't have one last year because we didn't have enough participants. That we need to have at least, I think it was at least 6 people have to, or is it 4? It's either 4 or 6 have to compete in order for us to have a chili cook-off. Like I said, we had 8 this year, which seemed like a lot. I thought it was a lot of chili. So I guess we were sort of like 2 over the minimum. Hard to believe. One of them, a couple people signed up to do the chili, and then they ended up not coming in or getting sick. I have a guy who works at our company, mainly in the wintertime, is something to do. And then in the summer, he works part-time, and the other half of his what he does in the summertime is he has a food truck that he drives around to different events. His food's not, it's not superb. You know, it's not, you're not gonna make a career out of doing this, but his food's pretty good. That it's a good, you know, what do you call that? Change of pace. You know, he's generally making like sandwiches sort of things. So like Italian hoagies, steak hoagie, you know, something easy that he can replicate very quickly. Trying to think towards Lent now. About a week away. Depending on when this episode airs, it might be the week of Lent. Starting Ash Wednesday, that is. And I'm looking forward to the fucking fish fries. Shit's good as fuck. At least in my area. I don't know. Maybe you do something different in your area. But we do the meatless Fridays. We go to the Catholic Church. They have these amazing fish fries. My parish that I go to, you know, grandma's got the best apple pie or the best coconut cream pie or whatever pecan pie, whatever is the big bragging right in your area of the country. Okay, this is one of those things. Like, my parish makes the best fried fish sandwich. Oh, it's just so good. They give you a ton of fish. You don't feel like you're being skimped at all. They make a ton of money off of it. I mean, profit-wise, great profit. Because everybody who's working it started doing a volunteer thing, so none of them getting paid. It's for the best benefit of the church, obviously. The big money maker for the church every year. I mean, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. With, you know, any church, whether you be, you know, Catholic, Protestant, Lutheran, you know, Catholic, Orthodox, Protestant sect, whatever. You want to make a ton of money for your church that doesn't come directly from people's donations. Have a food event. Have a fish fry. Have a spaghetti dinner. Something that's not all that terribly difficult to make. Food's generally not expensive to get. And then, you know, you charge whatever is appropriate for your area. You know, you can make a profit off of. You know, back in the day, we used to go to, you know, we'd go to my grandmother's house, and we would go off to like a local VFW when they were raising funds for some charity or something, and they would do a spaghetti and meatballs thing. You would get this big plate of spaghetti and 2 big ass meatballs. I mean, they weren't gigantic, you know, but they were, I don't know how big your fist is, but they were kind of like that big, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you have giant bear claws, or you got these tiny little petite hands. I don't know. But they were like some decent sized meatballs that you would get in addition to your spaghetti. The sauce was always usually it's a little questionable. Tends to be a little thin, but it wasn't like you were drinking spaghetti water, if you will. It was just a little thin for my taste. But I'm not complaining, because everything else was great. The pasta was great. The meatballs were great. You know, you were going there. You were paying, you know, I think it was like $3.75 for a kid, $5 for an adult. And, you know, the worst part of the whole thing is you're standing in line behind, you know, 50 other people waiting to get a seat because, you know, the hall is filled with people, you know, eating their spaghetti, you know. And they're moving people too. That was sort of the great part about this, is a lot of people would come, they would sit down and eat, and you would just spin through these people. Like, you would get, you know, you'd pay at the table. You'd sit, they would call you to sit down. You would sit down when a table, a spot opened up after they cleaned it off. Within 5 minutes, the spaghetti's on your, because they're making a mass amount of spaghetti and meatballs, so it's not like you're making a number of different dishes for people. You put the spaghetti and the meatballs down, you eat it over the course of, let's say, 15, maybe 20 minutes if you're real slow. But, you're turning all of these people over every 10, 15, 20 minutes. And so as say a group of 3 people leave, then 3 more people get to sit down. Or whatever, depending on how big your group is. And you just keep doing this, and you do this for 3 or 4 hours around a lunchtime, say from like 11 to 1. You make a killing. I don't know if that's maybe that stuff's sort of a passe thing. I know my parish does a lot of takeout business, but there's still plenty of people that come in and sit down for a meal. It's just, you go through, it's so great. It just, my only criticism, at least with my parish, is that I don't think they have enough volunteers to keep up with stuff.
Have some time before our support arrives. There's no time to speak to everyone. We should gather a small group who can serve as our heralds.
We're here to, I haven't mentioned this yet in this episode, I should have been talking about this. We're here to liberate our Wallister people from this Balmamusa, which we consider to be sort of like a work camp, where technically they have some autonomy, but they're also in a work camp, so it technically makes them, if you look at it from a different point of view, they're technically slaves as well. So we're here to try and rally them to our cause.
Are you daft? We didn't come all this way to listen to you spout nonsense.
But they're very old and stuck in their ways, and they don't really want to rise up against the Gagastani like we do as the youth.
There's no call for such rancor, Vice.
There's also a good chance that this cutscene here is the elders of the village who are making the decisions on the behalf of everybody else.
At least here, the winds of war do not howl in our ears, and our stomachs do not grumble.
So,
Shelter, fodder, you enjoy all the luxuries of cattle.
yes,
Doubtless you will, so long as you remain.
yes.
But do you not long to be free? To live as men? You are Wallister. Where's your pride?
It's an interesting philosophy there.
Leave as you came.
Many
Let us live
Many peasants
out our
would go
lives
from
in
one form of
peace.
bondage and suffering to another,
Today, it's the
and it really doesn't
resistance.
matter who's really
Tomorrow,
in
who
power or
knows
who's
what?
out of power.
But you all sing the same tune. My son sounded much as you do. The war claimed him 6 months ago.
Will your
Will
violence bring back
violence
my loved
bring
ones?
him
No.
back?
We want no part of your fight. You're doomed to fail any road. Galgastan is too powerful.
Yeah, they don't.
Heroes you may be.
They don't believe in
the
our
pride
cause,
always comes
so they're not
before
going to
the fall.
support it.
Forgive me, I was delayed. Might I have a quiet word?
This is that turning point I was talking about. He's going to give us a choice between 2 options, and it's going to decide whether we go down a lawful route or a chaos
I
route.
overheard your conversation. These people do not convince easily. No matter. We feared it would come to this.
That being
Listen
the
to me.
Duke.
There's something you must do. You must kill them. All of them. Spare no one.
That's madness, isn't it?
What?
The Duke foreknew this outcome.
And
These
these are his orders.
But why this?
It's such a great
If you
moment in
know
the
even
story.
one
I
reason,
didn't
would
see
hear
this
it.
coming at all.
Because his grace demands it.
So this is what I was talking about earlier regarding lawful versus
If the people
chaotic.
of Balmamusa rise up as we ask, well and good. But the words of these children will not be enough to move them to take up arms.
He had considered all the possibilities prior to them going to Balma Musa.
When they refuse, you are to kill them under guise of Galgastani agents. Leave no survivors.
We're essentially creating a genocide of our own people. We're going to pretend to be Galgastanis in order to raise the people that are on the fence or unwilling to fight to our cause.
On your shoulders. Consider our situation.
And so because we're a soldier...
If we are to defeat Galgastan, the Wallister must unite as never before.
So that's his,
if it
that's
appears
his
the
ultimate goal
Galgastani
here.
Destroyed Balma Musa, our people in the remaining camps will rally to our banner.
And that's his plan. And as I mentioned before in an earlier episode, the difference between you choosing a lawful,
nor will
but
opposition in the
ultimately not good outcome by slaughtering all of your brethren, you know, your people, if you will. That's the lawful answer, because you're following the orders of your superior, your lord, your Duke Ronway, versus doing what you want, which is freedom or chaos.
You will see to that as
in terms of an alignment chart, you are disobeying orders and acting chaotically, even though chaos is good in this situation and lawful is bad.
The future of our people depends on it.